We're live.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the March 12th, 2026 special council meeting. Tonight, we will be led in prayer by Councilwoman Montgomery, and please remain standing for the pledge.
Let's bow our heads, please. Father God, we thank you for this wonderful opportunity that you have given us to be a part of this wonderful city. And Lord, we come to you tonight for order, clarity, and unity. For those are the three things that are needed right now. So help us all as we speak, or if we don't speak, that it be all led by you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Perry,
Here.
Vice Mayor Croucher,
Here.
Ms. Montgomery,
Here.
Mr. Prophet,
Here.
Mr. Nichols,
Here.
Ms. Butts,
Here.
Mr. Rourke.
Here. Thank you. So I want to remind everybody the rules that are in effect for special council meetings are we can only discuss what is on the agenda. So if there are any other comments, please save them for the next council meeting. But like I said, the law dictates that it's only what is on the agenda. So with correspondence, I wanted to start off by saying hello, everyone, and thank you for being here tonight. This special meeting was scheduled so council can discuss its public comment guidelines adopted at our March 5th meeting. I know there have been strong feelings and understandable questions about both the substance of that motion and the process used to adopt it. Tonight's purpose is to address those questions in a clear, respectful, and orderly way. To begin, I want to clarify one point of process. On March 5th, Council approved a motion regarding public comment during its meeting. That action was taken by motion, not by codified ordinance or resolution. To clarify, an ordinance is a formal written legislative action imposing general or permanent regulations with the force of law. A resolution typically expresses policy positions or approves specific actions without creating enforceable regulations. Motions are informal parliamentary procedures used for routine business that does not require formal legislation. Pursuant to our charter, ordinances and resolutions customarily require two separate readings and a 30-day referendum period upon adoption. Motions take effect immediately unless an alternate effective date is specified when adopting the motion. City ordinances require the mayor to preserve decorum and decide all matters of order at council meetings. Prior to last meeting, our council had not adopted guidelines for audience of public. As evidenced in several recent council meetings, we have experienced valuable input from our citizens as well as healthy conversation about the good of our community. However, there were multiple times during audience of public when topics veered away from city business. Some participants consumed an inordinate amount of time when compared to the number of attendees who wished to address council, and some participants addressed their comments toward others instead of council. Some members of council considered guidelines to address these challenges and continue to focus on a healthy conversation with our citizens. These guidelines constitute a point of order subject to the discretion of the mayor under our city code. Though as the current mayor, I do not feel these guidelines be at the discretion of one person alone. Prior to our last regular meeting, I discussed these potential guidelines with a couple of members of council and asked them to present some guidelines for audience of public during our meetings similar to those implemented by neighboring government entities. Those proposed guidelines brought forth were considered and accepted by a majority of council at the last meeting. Tonight's meeting was called to further discuss these procedures. However, before we begin that discussion, I will establish that from now and in the future, there are 3 rules that we're going to adopt. The first one is 1 person speaks at a time. If you are not at the podium, it is not a time to comment on what is being said. To direct questions or comments to council, you must be recognized as the speaker at the podium. And then lastly, members of public or council will not attack the character of audience members. I understand that making comments on Facebook at this day and age is easy, and that sometimes people get upset at those, and this is the place that they actually see them and think it's a time to have that discussion. But this is not the forum for that. And we no longer will accept any attacks to character within here. And that's the only guidelines I have. And we will open it up to audience of public. At this time, that'll include all public until we decide what. I'm sorry.
Mayor, my apologies. I just to conform to order, we conduct all the roll calls. I can't even recall. We conduct roll calls.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm just checking off my. Thank you so much.
Mayor Perry,
Yes.
if you don't mind, I'd like to just briefly state, I want it to be clear that the special meeting was requested by the 4 council members that voted yay in the motion because we wanted to explain. We have an obligation to explain. We wanted to have further discussions on what happened. I would say that it's safe to possibly say that these were incomplete. The motion was put forward and there were 4 bullet points. There could have been 5 or 6 or 7 bullet points. You know, I think right off the gate, I think a lot of people could probably say that using the term residents could possibly be switched to taxpayers. There's been questions about signing in. What does signing in consist of? Does it mean being physically here, or does it mean just requesting a speaker spot at any point before the meetings with Stas, just so that we can have that record? So that's the purpose of this meeting, is just to discuss these openly. With this not being a codified ordinance, it was not discussed up here amongst all of us. It possibly could have been handled better, but it wasn't. We couldn't talk about it in the back. It doesn't fall under executive session. Due to sunshine laws, none of us were ever able to, we weren't ever able to assemble to discuss these. And I think there were a lot of things that possibly got missed. And I can't speak for everybody else, but one of the reasons that I was in favor of it, we have had residents that have asked us to establish rules because some of these meetings have run very long. We've had residents that have left before they got a chance to speak. And I don't think that's right either. So I know there's going to be disagreements on some of the elements of this, but we did feel it was important to listen to the residents and hear their feedback on what they think was adopted last week. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, we'll now open it up to audience of public.
Good evening, and thanks for allowing input at this meeting. I'm Ted Farmer. I live at 811 Charles Street, Trenton, Ohio, 45067, just to be clear. I just want to say I'm originally from Hamilton and moved back to Butler County in 2023 after many years away. My ask tonight is that all parties truly listen to the person who is talking. Don't be formulating a response while someone else is talking and you're not listening to them. I chose Trenton because of affordability and the smaller town atmosphere. I am glad that I chose Trenton After living in Ohio, Texas, California, Washington State, and Arizona, I've seen that communities either grow or die. What I hope for, and I'm working for, is managed growth. My belief is that the Trenton City Council is trying its best to manage growth, and I appreciate that.
Thank you.
I've watched the debate over the new council rules and truly believe that there is no intent to denying anyone's freedom of speech, but instead, the new rules are giving more opportunity for more people to express themselves by limiting each individual's time. Mr. Prophet already addressed what I was going to talk about, and my comment is maybe there's room for compromise. For example, 4 minutes versus 3 minutes. Allowing anyone that pays taxes to the city of Trenton to speak, even though they may not be a resident. If the rules are adopted, can a person speak for 1 minute and cede the rest of their time to another person? So I feel like there is room for agreement, and I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Farmer.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to comment. My name is Angie Markham. I live at 600 South First Street. I've had occasion at previous council meetings to be concerned and on one occasion comment on the fact that I don't think we're being great neighbors as a city of Trenton to people near us. What happened to the last council meeting further confirms that for me. We are the bad neighbors. It is shameful that we can have such disregard for other human beings that live just outside the city limits. And it's definitely not a good representation of our small town with a big heart motto. This council and the previous one does not get to avoid accountability for the broader impacts of this decision. You are responsible for the impacts outside of the city limits, the impacts 5 years from now, 10 years from now, all of them, because you made the choice to bring this here. Please do not try to act like they need to go to speak someone else who did not make this decision. The other thing that I've commented on frequently is communication and transparency by this council and by the city. It is already difficult and intimidating for most people to stand up and speak in front of council, in front of cameras, in front of other people. These actions that were taken and the way that it was done does not make this space any more welcoming. This council has said they want more communication, more engagement with the community. What happened at the last meeting did not represent that. Refusing to interact with people while communicating makes the conversation less constructive. It also makes it harder for people to get answers to their questions in a timely fashion. Most of the previous meetings were largely constructive, in my opinion. Yes, there have been some issues. But please keep all of this in mind when you are making these choices. I would like this to be as constructive a space for communication as possible. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jennifer Harris, 708 Heritage Drive, Trenton. So there are pieces of that last statement that I kind of agreed with and pieces that I do not agree with. I do think it does shut people down from feeling like they can talk, and I think that's never what you guys want. But I do think that is the way it feels. As a resident, I'm glad that you take my thoughts seriously. And you do represent me. You don't represent the people of Woodsdale. That being said, I do think things do impact them, and I think they could come with good information to share. And I think as a city, we should be open to hearing what they have to say. I understand that it takes some time, and most new council members have probably always seen a full house. You will get back to just talking to Chief Carr in the corner, though. This will die down and nobody will be here. Because other council members know, weeks on weeks on weeks on end, there is nobody in this room. And by putting these rules up, you're shutting down conversation when it could be good conversation. I will say by just saying residents or just taxpayers, I've seen people come in from outside communities who invite us to their events. They come and they share things that are going on in Madison Township or different things like that. And when you shut that down, they don't feel like they're welcome to come and share those things. So it's not always bad things that people are here. But unfortunately, that is the seat you took. Like, I was on council before, right? I have said to many people, I was called so many names. Some I had to Google. I didn't even know what they meant. I still get called things. So it's, unfortunately, it is the seat you took. You should not be threatened. Your family should not be threatened. I think some of the things that have gone on are shameful. But I do think these could have some adjustments to it. I think right now you're having public comment that's lasting an hour. That is not the norm. It feels like it right now, but it will go back to it being nothing. So just please keep that in mind. I have a son, when you talk about taxpayers or residents, my son is a resident, not a taxpayer, is a Boy Scout. So I think of like, what are these kids who are outside and they've got things going on and they want to come and share? That's the kind of things that I think of when you shut down and you make people feel like they can't speak. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman, everybody present, Barry Blankenship, 811 South 1st Street, Trenton, Ohio. I came to thank you for your introduction there first. Well, sometimes things have got heated, people have been called out, and I hope you can hold to your word that that stops, because there's been a lot called out on that side, there's been a lot called on this side. That makes people have even more hatred and more fury with what goes on in council meetings. A couple of things I did want to comment on is, I'm not going to mention names. Let me go to it. I can find it again. Someone said that he supported the measure because council members were elected to represent Trenton residents. I agree with that. But there's been a lot of Trenton residents that have spoke up against what y'all have done versus what I've seen or heard speak for it. So I hope that whoever said that can remember those words. And like I said to you, I know you acknowledge that things haven't got very civil in a while. It does need to be civil, I agree. And hopefully we can all make it civil again and make it constructive, like was just said, to where, yes, things are heated. Yes, there is something going on. That isn't a popular decision. But with that being said, even though it might not be popular, we all still need to come to the table and talk about it to where we can try to figure out the best way forward. So that's, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Danny Heston. I'm a resident here in Trenton. And I've been asked why I don't like to give my address. It's because I have no problem giving it for our public record, but we do live stream things. I just don't have a preference for it. So my question then is, does that affect me when I sign in? Do I still need to say it? I then come up with a lot of different questions after listening to last week's, or I'm sorry, the fifth work session and the regular session. And a lot of it just kept coming back to what a lot of these folks just said. It feels like we're shutting down communication versus honing it in, and that a lot of things have felt personal on both sides, just watching everyone speak. We all have lives, things happen. Most of us never step foot inside of a council chamber, let alone multiple meetings. We've watched many, many meetings go, like Ms. Harris said, where nobody was here. But I want to point out something I did a couple of months ago. They're here now, they're on live, and a lot of people are like my husband with their kids at sports or something else. It's not for lack of wanting to be involved, but I think some people don't know the procedures that you folks have to follow in order to do that in what you might construe as a constructive manner, or what they might perceive as actually being heard and it being acted upon in some way. And so after hearing last meeting, I felt the need to go ahead after speaking to some other community members and let you folks know. I see you trying to communicate. I would really, really, as these rules stand, ask that you choose not to enact them. Maybe go back to the drawing board. See what works for everybody, not just council, not just residents, but this shuts down a lot of folks. It shuts down people who invest in our community but don't live here. They don't get a vote anyway, but this is their way of having their voices heard. And in addition to that, when we're speaking on folks that have adjoining services, such as school districts, we do have to consider the impact across different county lines, across different municipalities. I know this has been very, very heated. I think that a lot of us that had kids in the district over the last several years would say, please do not shut out the community the way that we felt like had occurred with the schools. We've felt heard here more often, I would say, than we have in other situations or other communities. That's why we all like it. I said it before, it's our little piece of Mayberry. Mayberry's got to grow up, definitely does. But I think that the communication is where we really, really need to focus. Because we're people, we've got to communicate with each other, and that's how we get the best ideas and the best growth.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Council. I'm Kim Georgeton. I live in Lebanon, Ohio. I live 8 miles from this location. So I sent you all an email earlier today. Hopefully you've had a chance to read it. I really wanted to give everyone an opportunity to respond to that before I made any further actions regarding that, of course. And that is why I sent it to all of you with my intentions, not to be threatening, but to make sure that you know that we do have a constitution which does, absolutely protect our ability to provide public comment. Our First Amendment is protected. The Ohio Constitution provides for the first 2/3 amendments. We also have our 14th Amendment and then our 19th Amendment regarding water rights, which is something that is shared from many of us in the multiple different communities that we live in terms of shared groundwater and potential contaminants that could occur with that. The energy grid is also something that is shared within neighboring communities that can have altering consequences regarding our costs and potential energy blackouts and things like that. So these are the issues that are important to me as I have been traveling around the state. I have 3 different data centers that are within 50 miles of where I currently live. So the one here that's proposed, the one in Wilmington, and the one in Mount Orab. And I have questions about how those are going to have cumulative effects on our communities, our water and our electricity. So because of that, I have standing, and I should be able to speak, and so should others in neighboring communities as well. So I just want to remind everybody to make sure you have a copy of your Ohio Constitution. You can get a free one from Brent Rose's office. He provides them for free. And then getting your federal constitution to make sure that as you are going through and setting laws and ordinances and motions, that you are doing it in a way that is protecting the constitutional rights of your constituents.
Thank you.
Okay? Thank you.
Hi, my name is Erica Updike, and I'm a resident of Liberty Township. Please don't assume other people's interest in the, I'm going to say the data center. Everyone's trying to avoid talking about that. I know that that's not what this meeting is about. Please don't assume that just because people are coming here about that project, that we, the neighbors of Liberty Township or other neighboring areas, have nefarious intentions. I don't think all of you may know that I live 4 miles from here, straight down Liberty Fairfield, which is Wayne Madison, and then turns into Liberty Fairfield. The reason why my husband and I bought our house there is because I was a teacher at Edgewood Middle School. And so while we didn't buy a house in Trenton, because my husband's job was further south, so we had to compromise, the city of Trenton is still a very important part of the neighboring community through Butler County. Your decisions have a bigger impact than just your town. So to hide like a turtle, to tuck in your shell, and to keep everybody else out may not be the wisest decision. And I think you're hearing that from more and more people, not just your residents, but your neighboring community. I know I've spoke with Mayor Perry about a few things regarding some of the preservation of old houses. I'm also an old house nerd. I also grew up in a small town, in an old house, where the entire town was saved when the dams were built after the flood. So I have an unusual interest in saving the house in particular that now the city owns. The aquifer is a shared resource all over Ohio. It supplies up to 80% of our nation's drinking water. So the project just here in your small town does not affect just your small town. Yes, I usually watch them online because on Thursday nights, I'm the taxi for 2 of my kids going back and forth down Princeton Road, taking my kids to ballet. So usually, I've been watching from online. I don't think that's a negative thing. And it's been a little insulting and frustrating to hear comments from council disparaging people that watch online. We're watching, we're participating, right? Isn't that what we want? Yep. It's very frustrating to see council passing notes back and forth. Isn't that breaking Robert's rules?
Mr. Zip.
And you don't have to answer that, I understand that.
Oh.
But doesn't that break Robert's rules? I can't be the only kid that grew up with a parent teaching him about parliamentary meetings. But also frustrated because I, as not a council member, can't call you out on that. It takes one of you to hold your fellow council members accountable for that. So you may already have an email from me requesting that because those notes being passed back and forth, I didn't see those in the minutes. Those should have been part of the public record. Also, some of the true facts that I'm not sure if council knew, some false information was shared at the last meeting about Liberty Township sign-in procedure. Firsthand, you do have to sign in. It does not have to be 10 minutes ahead of time. They understand some people are running late. Some people have other things to do. As long as you sign in, that's fine. You can at least provide your name. Other people have asked, you can give them your information privately. It doesn't have to be there for other people to see. That's fine. I don't know if the driver's license thing was in the past. That is, I've never been asked. It has never been brought up to share your driver's license. So maybe that has happened in the past. That is not currently a thing. And there is a time limit if they need it. If things are busy, there's going to be another meeting next week that's hotly contested. There'll probably be a time limit. I pulled up Westchester. There's 2 opportunities for residents for the public to speak. The first public speaking is for residents. The second is for residents again, and then anyone else if there's time. So that's a good compromise that Westchester came up with. But I think it feels very off-putting to the community in general to just say, if you don't live here, you don't have input. That's not how our communities work. We all rely on one another. Just think at the EMA, if something goes wrong, it's all of Butler County that comes to help, right? Right? So please consider a compromise of allowing residents to have participation, but also the bigger community to also share their thoughts. Because you are a big part of Butler County. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments? All right. Seeing none, we will, to make this constructive, we'll just go from point to point on what was brought out. And I do want to say that there is no action, stop me if I'm speaking out of line here. There is no action to put any of this into codified ordinance, which means if none of it is codified ordinance, it is always up to the chair's discretion. Nothing that was passed was a codified ordinance. So therefore, this has always been at the chair's discretion. What I did, as I said in my opening remarks, was I have gotten a whole lot of pushback from the community to adopt some rules for public speaking. Currently, and in the past with council, there have been no rules whatsoever. There are no time limits, there are no sign-ins, there are no anything. It's just kind of been up in the air. I even went back and watched numerous council meetings where it has been one meeting, non-residents were allowed to speak. The next meeting, the mayor said, nope, we're not getting input from you because we don't have to because you're a non-resident. So it has been all over the place. And it hasn't been a problem when it was a meeting or two here and there. But now we're seeing meeting after meeting where it goes and there have been absolutely no rules of order. And to restate it, even though it's within my ability and within the ability of a lot of mayors in the area to set the rules themselves on a whim, I didn't wish to do that. I don't think that is even though it's within my ability, I didn't think it was something that I should do. So with the rest of it, I'll just refer to my previous statement, how this came about as a verbal motion to not put formal rules in effect and to at least get some support of council if we were going to move forward. But with that, we'll start off with number one. Each individual addressing council during public comment shall be limited to 3 minutes per speaker unless additional time is granted at the discretion of the presiding officer. Does someone want to start with that talking point?
Mayor, before you go there, since I'm the person that brought this up, yes, you did call me. You did talk to me about this. And again, there was no guidelines for public comment. Is this perfect? No, it's not. Are we going to tweak it and make it better? Yes, we are. And that's why we're here tonight. Jennifer, I heard you, and I agreed with you when me and you talked. It shouldn't be limited to the residents. If you are a business owner in this city, you're paying a water bill, you should be allowed to come and address council, in my opinion. 3 minutes may not be enough. I talked to council members from Hamilton today that came out and told me that they give 5 minutes, but they feel 5 minutes is too long, but none of them want to be the person in the room to bring it up, to bring it down. I talked to someone from Fairfield Township. They told me they limit their people to 3 minutes as well. That a lot can be said in 3 minutes, which you all just got up and talked to us, and looking at the clock, you did it within 3 minutes, to be honest with you. Should that be changed? There should be a compromise. Some people are happy with 5, some people are happy with 3. We can go to 4. Again, this can be tweaked, and it is up to council to amend it. And we're here tonight in front of the public to do that.
And I will say how it is written, how number 1 is written, it is a limit to 3 minutes unless additional time is granted at the discretion of the presiding officer. So, as I said before, it has never been when we first started this, I never thought that I would be having a conversation and then say, well, your 3 minutes are over, I'm sorry. You can go ahead and sit down.
That was never intended.
That was never what it was, and that's why it was worded as at the discretion of the presiding officer, which, to be honest with you, unfortunately, when I looked into this the first time, the minutes in general were always at the discretion of the presiding officer, whether that was going to be 10, 1, 3, 2. What I'm doing here tonight is I'm saying, council, we do need some kind of rules. And if we're going to do some rules, we're all going to agree on it, or at least the majority of us are going to agree on it. And then I will act on those rules that are adopted by council, with the exception of the ones that I said before at the beginning that I'm going to put in effect, because honestly, to me, the respect for each other and not talking over each other is just basic. They're just basic rules that should happen. And unfortunately, we got away from that a little bit. I think things got a little too heated, especially last meeting. If you saw a couple interactions, I mean, I almost threw my dad out. So I think we need to get back to a place of speaking with respect, no matter how much animosity there is. So that's my statement to start off all of this. I'm pledging to you, council, if you adopt something, or not adopt. If you give me direction on how to run the meetings, I will follow it. But I don't think there's a need to put any of it into codification at this time, because we don't know what's going to happen in the future. And once it goes to that, then it's written in as law. And I don't think that should be something that we should do. It should be something that's flexible with the times.
I can speak. Is that what you're waiting for?
Yeah, I was right. Yeah, I'm sorry.
I'll address number one. And I do want to say I was not here last meeting, but I was watching live, so I was well aware of what was going on. With regard to number one, I am certainly willing to compromise with the amount of time. I do think it needs to be more than 3 minutes. But if it were up to me, I would not choose to limit the amount of time that someone is speaking, because they may have several points to discuss. Instead, I would ask that whether it's the mayor or someone up here, if they're hearing the same thing being repeated, because we've heard that when someone was up there, they've said the same thing over and over again. And if we just redirected and said, okay, we heard that part, or, however we say that, but say it in such a way as to cut that part off, or whoever is speaking be more aware of, we heard it the first time, we don't have to keep repeating it over and over again. And I think that if we all work together to do that and at least politely put a stop to it, if it was happening, then I think it would naturally occur that it was 4 or 5 minutes that people spoke. So that's my take on number one.
I think on number one, with the 3 minutes, what I saw in that is residents not getting a chance to speak because certain statements took extended periods of time. We've typically strayed away from allowing people to step up multiple times. Maybe a compromise would be limiting everybody to 3 minutes until everybody gets a chance to speak. And then if somebody did not get a chance to finish their statement, they could go back up. But I just want to ensure everybody gets a chance to speak.
All right, I got a few notes because I probably forget what I was going to say. I'm getting older, but yeah, I became a councilman because I'm your neighbor and I'm concerned about the city of Trenton. And last meeting, I regretted voting yay on the 10-minute ahead sign-in because I don't think we should make it difficult for people to talk at a council meeting.
We're not at that number yet.
Yeah, we're at number
With all
one.
due respect,
Well, can
let's
I share it?
let's
Okay, I'll
stick to
stay
number
with
one right now.
See, I told you I took notes. I just got them mixed up. Number one, yeah, I think 3 minutes, and like everybody's been saying, is good. And I don't believe our mayor or anybody up here would stop somebody in the middle of a conversation that we were discussing.
I think 3 minutes might be a little short, but at the same time, I don't think we're going to have a stopwatch up here really timing anybody. If somebody goes a little over, I don't think that's going to be a long problem as long as they don't, like Marcy said, just keep going over the same thing over and over again.
I have to go in number one. I I know how important that it is time-wise. There are things that are kind of behind the scenes that maybe the residents do not know or understand, and one of the things is time. We as individuals try to do our best. I mean, I've tried to do my best in the last 4 years, and now I've started number 5. But I think, again, like everybody is saying here, I do know that there are certain things that are put into place for a guideline. And I think that everybody was misunderstanding, and maybe the presentation of it wasn't the way that it should have been. But when I say unity and order and clarity, that's what I mean. And in that, what I'm saying to you is, I am flexible to, if you're speaking, I know no one's ever cut me off, and I can get pretty speaky.
Amen.
Well, thank you there, Kenny. I'll take that. But I've been through a lot in the last couple years, and so this council has been very, very good to me, and so has the city, and so I'm not in any way. But I brought something for everybody here on council to look at. I'm in hospice. This is not a HIPAA violation, so don't go there. This person passed away, and he was one of my patients. And if you ever go to different cultural type funerals, you know that there are certain things that they do, and it's a little different and all of that. But I've always been able to amend myself to whatever that culture is, okay? And in this little thing right here, if you come to the second page or third page of it, whatever, there is a thing that is written, and then when I was looking at it today, I thought about this: reflections and special remarks for family and friends. See, that's what I see when I look at Trenton or the city council meetings, family and friends. Please limit to 2 minutes. You know why that's there? Just think about it. I'm not going to say out why I think it's there, because I know why it's there. But think about it. It does not matter to me if someone is, and we do, okay, we do connect with other communities, and I get that, okay? And I understand what speaking is all about. I have to kind of agree with the young lady that said what she did about putting her address down. I get that. I don't want everybody seeing my address. Thank you. You know why? Because I'm on city council. But you know what? You can go online and Google me. My personal cell phone comes up. My address comes up. You know why? Because when I signed up to be on city council, I swore a document to uphold the Constitution, not only of the United States, but of Ohio, the Constitution and the rules of the city of Trenton. And the other thing that I have to fill out all the time is transparency. Y'all, we've got them due in May. We got to fill them out again. You can know what I make. You can know what I pay. You can know everything about me. That's the position I hold. And I will always be here for the residents and the people.
Everybody. So I guess now is when we get down to it. So, what are we thinking? The thing that pops into my mind right off the bat is probably 5 with allowance. I'm throwing numbers out, and then we'll go from there.
I would like to do a compromise. I said 3. I would like to raise it to 4. Some people are saying 5 again.
But let's go back to the thing that was just said, and let's go with unity. See, I trust that when we as city council members, this man right here did not get elected to be mayor. Do you know who put him in as mayor?
We did.
City council. He did not get elected, and so we made a decision as we felt in our heart that he had the ability to do it. And so we trust him. So when that says that he will be in charge of saying, you need to sit down, that's what our previous mayor would do. He done it many a times. I sat up here, Jennifer, just like you, didn't we? And when it got out of control, that happened. Something I noticed is, not one of you talked tonight. And why is that? Because the thought in your head was, oh my God. Now they're saying time limit. Do you understand? Yeah. I think there is a way for everything to be done in decency and order, clarity, communication, and unity. I do.
I agree. And I think it comes to not so much limiting time, but again, I said I could compromise, but finding a way for the right people or the right person to, and someone out there said it, I'm sorry, I don't remember who, to try to hone it in versus shutting it down. There's a big difference in perception when you feel like we're just trying to hone in the conversation versus shutting it down. And I believe that that is the responsibility of council. I mean, I'm not even saying that it has to be the mayor, but I think all of us are responsible enough, if we hear somebody going through the same thing over and over again, to be able to hone it in. So,
and again, because we are all voted council members. Ryan was not voted to be mayor. Floyd was not voted to be vice mayor. We're council members.
All right.
You have any time in?
I'd like to go 5.
Ken?
I already commented on the 3-minute thing. I'm waiting for the 10-minute sign-in thing.
That's who said he.
So we got to vote like individuals?
So are we down to like making a motion?
No. We don't have to vote. We just have to
All right, come to a consensus.
Let's make.
Well, it sounds like half of us are 3 and half
Let's
of
all
us
say
are
3 minutes.
So let's
3 to
just-
5.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's just say 3 to 5. We'll hone it in. We'll do a better job of keeping it together. If you're at 3 minutes, 4 minutes, and you're talking and it's a good dialogue, you're not repeating yourself, you have a lot to talk about, then we'll take that into consideration. And I think that's our best way forward.
Again, the mayor does not want to sound like a dictator. Again, there's a very reason why this was put forward at the last council meeting. I don't feel the responsibility should be put on one person's shoulders, which would make him a dictator. Again, that's why it was council altogether. But again, previous council before that, Jennifer, you sit on, the mayor did step up and say, that's enough, you're done.
Yeah.
And
We want to be clear with people that, when you get up and talk, please get up and talk and stay on the subject you're talking about.
I agree with that. I don't see it as being a dictator if the mayor steps in and hones in a conversation that has gone off the rails. I don't think that's being a dictator.
May I say this? I was a pastor for almost 20 years, and when you ask somebody to testify,
Oh, God.
sometimes they go 20, 30 minutes talking about the same thing. And that's basically what we're trying to not let happen at a council meeting.
Yeah.
And I think it's good to set guidelines because whoever's sitting in that seat, whether it was the former mayor, you, or whoever the next mayor is, it just creates a level of fluidity.
Yes.
Everyone has a different personality, and it just creates a constant flow, whoever is sitting there. So I like that.
Yeah, and I will say this, that it is, it's a time that we haven't experienced in Trenton, and I'm not trying to say anything against mayors in the past nor mayors in the future, but we have never had to face a time like this in the city, and that's luckily, as Jennifer said when she was standing up there.
Yep.
There were months and months where there were no public
Nobody.
comments. I think the biggest controversy we had is we had 4 people speak at a council meeting against one thing, and that was as long as it was, and they were all under a minute. So this is just something we need to look at for the future, and I thank council for the confidence they have in me. And
Of course.
thank you.
You wouldn't be there if we didn't.
Yeah.
So,
Voted that way.
so I'll just say I'm good with limited to 3 to 5 minutes with the ability to assist with honing in as needed.
I like that.
Sounds good.
I agree.
All right. On to number 2, individuals wishing to address council must sign in at least 10 minutes prior to the start of the meeting, providing their name and address.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind starting that one.
Go ahead.
Yeah, like I said, it's we don't want to make it difficult for anyone to talk to council, because when you feel like you're disconnected, especially that you don't want to be heard, it's definitely not the way the city wants to be or wants to be looked at. And the young lady, she mentioned about how, well, never mind, that's what I'm going to say about that. That's on down the list. I forgot. That's about number 4. So
Oh, good night.
I'm ready to hit the whole
You
list.
got your preacher list on, don't you?
But I do believe that we need to be available as much as possible to the residents. That's how I truly feel.
Okay.
On number 2, I don't know that we need to have people sign in ahead of time, as long as give their name and address when they come up to the podium, and that's basically just so they could be entered into the minutes, who was speaking, what they had to say. The only reason that I think it might help to have them sign in ahead of time is I know our recording system is not always the greatest. Sasha can probably back me up on this. Sometimes it's hard to understand people, especially if someone's a little soft-spoken or not up close to the microphone. When he's going through the recordings, doing the minutes, I know I've talked to previous clerks, and they said it's very hard sometimes to understand people's names and such, when they're transcribing the minutes. So that would be one advantage to have people doing that. It makes it a little easier for us to get the record straight. And, we don't want to, put the wrong name in the records or something just because we couldn't understand them. But other than that, I don't really see a reason to have to sign in 10 minutes ahead.
I agree. I don't see any reason for people to have to sign in at all. I understand the inability or the difficulty hearing what they say, but perhaps afterwards they could just write it down, or if we have something up there for anybody who's speaking to write down their name and address so you'd have it for the minutes. There may be things that come up that just spark something in someone that they want to speak, and if they haven't signed in at the beginning, then they're not able to speak. So that's why I would be not in favor of signing in.
Well, the reason why I brought that motion forward like that, or I said that like that, I want to rephrase that, is that I was at a roundtable meeting, and we started at 6, and it was going on 8 o'clock. And someone was recording the roundtable meeting live on Facebook, and a subject was brought up that sparked apparently something in someone, and they come running in the door 5 minutes before it's over, and they want to talk. After I already said we're going to end the roundtable at 8 o'clock because we're getting close to dinner time, and I haven't ate yet. I allowed it to go over past 10 minutes after 8 till I let that person go ahead and speak. But again, they came in at the very last minute. They wasn't planning on being there, but because the person was live streaming it on Facebook, that person comes running in. that's why I felt it was necessary for someone to sign in or to state their name when they get up at the podium. And again, we're working on our audio system right now. It's very hard sometimes for me to hear sitting up here when someone's speaking. That's why I lean forward, so that way I can try and catch what they're saying. It has its advantages of signing in, and then again, it has its disadvantages of signing in. If a resident doesn't want to have someone knowing their address, I could see them not wanting to come and speak in front of council. Again, this all can be amended. Council is finally getting to come together and talk about this, to tweak this, to make it the way it needs to be.
You want to go?
The young lady who spoke that she doesn't feel comfortable giving her address, that was part of my thought process on the signing in, is if we have their address on the record and we have their name properly spelled, because Stas, you do a great job trying to decipher people's spelling of their name, but I don't think it's always accurate. But if they signed in, they wouldn't have to give their address, was part of my thought on that. But if we don't want to require signing in, I agree, it does somewhat, in hindsight, thinking about it, it does somewhat limit people's ability to come forward, so.
I've been throwing a few things around in my head, and we'll see if they make sense out loud as much as they did in my head. But a lot of times, I would like to know a question before it's asked, and not because I'm trying to hide something, but because I can get you an answer. It would be a lot easier if I'm asked something or know something before the meeting that's going to be asked, so that I can go ahead and do my research, because believe it or not, this isn't any of our full-time jobs.
Yep.
So we're at work normally during the day. We come here, we do the council meeting, and we don't always have time to get the finer points of everything in here. So what I was thinking is, I would love for it not to be at least 10 minutes prior to the meeting, but I would love to have an open, almost sign up with Stas by email, by phone call, or something like that, if it's a question that really needs an intricate answer. Because nobody wants to come up here, ask a question, and then hear, well, we'll get back to you. So if it's something, my first thought was this. Instead of the sign in, there is an optional sign in if you would like to do it, not give your name and address. Stas will have that before the meeting to sign in. And the controversial part will be those that sign in, or those that sign in by email before will have precedent. And then after that, we go to just random discussion, unless we're running really long on time on that.
I'm in favor of that. That sounds good.
I mean, I think that kind of strikes a balance. Number one, people will get better answers to their questions. Number two, to the point earlier, you don't want your name and address out there, or you want it correct into the minutes, or you want your points really made, then there you're signed in. Something comes up during the meeting, you can't sign in, you forget to email Stas, or you just don't want to. Well, then you still have time to address council, given that it's not 11 at night.
I think it gives a good general idea of how many speakers we'll have as well, so that once you hit your 3 or 4 minute mark, if the next point you have is kind of just, continuing to carry on, you could be courteous of the person speaking behind you. So I like having a good general idea, so I like your suggestion.
I too like preparation beforehand of knowing things. And I've talked to Ryan quite a bit, a couple times this week and stuff. And knowing ahead of time helps me. It really, really does. Because then I can do my due diligence for the meeting and know some more things that maybe I didn't know.
I feel like, I agree. I feel like that's two different things, though. having people sign in within 10 minutes with questions they're going to ask, we're not going to have time to do our due diligence.
No, I'm talking more about what he said, you know.
Yeah,
if
so
you-
it's two different things. If you have a question, you can email it ahead of time.
Right,
But then when
that's
they
what
come
I'm
here
sorry.
but when they come here to the meeting, are we saying that they have to sign in and say, I want to speak tonight if you don't have a specific question?
No, I'm saying if we use the protocol of Stas being able to know some of the things that we can then do research with. I like what Ryan says. You know, if we can know those things, and it can get us prepared to be better at it. But tell me what you think, Stas.
If I could, obviously this is up to council. I believe in the public forum there was a, do you have a question? I feel like that'd be a little easier that way. Everyone has a consolidated link, and they can go to that link, and then all those questions are there, because staff is pretty flooded with emails right now, and I don't want to miss a question that I can send over to council. So it's obviously up to council if council would like a Google form or a Microsoft form. That way all those questions can be consolidated, and then prior to that time, I don't know when council would like to receive those questions, but maybe a couple of days in advance. That way everyone has.
Yeah, and I understand.
Someone doesn't have a question like 2 minutes, like the day of council meeting, so that way everyone is prepared. That's just my thoughts. It's obviously up to council if they want.
And I understand there's going to be people that come in and they're going to have a question that, you know, is just kind of just jumped at them in the last little bit. I get that. But preparation is good if we can do that.
Just to clarify, Mayor, what you said was just a suggestion, not a mandatory thing, because I can just see on social media tomorrow. Did you hear the mayor said that now we have to send in our questions before we can ask them? I mean, I could just see that. I could just,
No.
on social media, I can see that happening.
Yeah.
So just to clarify, that was just a suggestion that it's not mandatory. It's something like if they got a really tough question, we'd have a chance to really give them a good answer.
No, you're 100% correct on that, and I didn't take the social media aspect of
Yeah,
it.
Well, you
I
gotta
could just
think
hear them
ahead
tomorrow.
here.
Now the mayor wants us to write a letter to him, let him know what the questions are. That way, he can either have an answer or he can have a reason why he can't answer. I mean, I could just see that on social media. Yeah.
Mr. Farmer asked the question, if you could defer your time to the next person. Again, to answer your question, Mr. Farmer, the mayor's not going to cut nobody. I don't see the mayor cutting nobody off. Again, we're just trying to set some guidelines on things. But yeah, I guess they could defer their time if they needed to. I mean,
I honestly don't want to
I
get
don't think
into
you would need to
keeping-
do that.
We'd have to keep track of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was under number one.
That was number one, and I think we came to a pretty good,
yeah.
solid.
I wanted to circle back, and I'm sorry I shouldn't have used that word, circle back. Everybody hates to use that word. But again, Mr. Farmer's question was somebody allowed to defer their time? And I just wanted to get to that question. Again, we should have answered that when we was talking about number one.
Okay. I actually like it if you guys are in agreement with it. If you have intricate questions or you're asking a question that you very much want an answer to that night, you can email them to Stas.
Yes.
We could either answer them live with us saying it, or you can come and ask it, and then that way there is some preparation. If you do not wish to do that, you still are free to come here and ask a question at any time. If you choose to write down your name and address to kind of get a feel with how many speakers we're going to have that night, free to do that with Stas. Or if you want to not have your name and address on the, well, it'll be on the minutes anyway, but publicly known your name or your address, then you can do that as well. That'll be who we will call to the podium first. And then after that, any time remaining that is feasible at that time, then they will be opened up to any other comments.
I like that.
I'm in favor of that.
With the exception, you had mentioned a different option besides emailing them to you because you may
Yeah, I don't want
miss them.
I don't know how many emails staff will get. I think just having in one consolidated area such
I like
Microsoft Form, it's
Yeah.
a little easier, and everyone can have access to that. That way they can monitor questions being sent. That way,
Yep.
if I get something on Monday and then it's forwarded on Wednesday, that's not justifiable.
Okay.
Having, I feel like having a link to the website and having the link to that Microsoft form, and then if an individual wants to provide their name, address, and then their question, that can be sent to. That way, council has access to that as well, so everyone can monitor that coming through. And just wonder, when would council like to have that closed off?
I mean, really,
The day before.
yeah, end of day Wednesday.
Yeah.
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 And then first thing Thursday morning we receive. That'll give us, I mean, a lot of us, or at least one of us, time to do some research, ask some staff for answers to those questions.
All right, that will be, so that form will be created. The agenda is published on Friday, so that form will also be included in that agenda packet.
Okay.
Perfect.
Good. Great.
Thank you. Okay, number 3, public comment shall be limited to residents of the city of Trenton.
I would say to eliminate that altogether, because whatever we do has an impact on everybody around us, and I don't think that anyone would come here to speak on something that wasn't going to impact them. Just my thoughts.
I agree that part should be eliminated because I don't see how you police that. Because first thing I heard was, oh, what, businesses can't come and talk to council? And then somebody suggested, well, maybe it's just taxpayers. Okay. So if somebody rents in the city and lives outside the city, they're not paying property tax directly. They're not paying income tax, so are they a taxpayer? Is a business owner that owns a business in town but doesn't live in town, are they allowed? I mean, yeah, there's just too many variables to even police it.
I agree.
So there is one thing, and a lot of us have been digging through our codified ordinances here lately. And do you want to bring it up, or? I know there's been some discussion. Mr. Ziffel, under the audience of public in our codified ordinances, I know that when I looked at them, it does define citizen in that.
It references citizen.
I think let's get the exact, I want to get the exact wording, because if there.
Me too.
That is one thing, because I want to go by what the past has.
And I'd like to know the date of that ordinance.
Don't have the date.
I know you don't.
And of when that provision was.
Trust me.
Codified, no provisions to this ordinance that occurred at least in 2019 and 2022. The section I think that you're referencing looks like subsection H8, where the reference to audience and public is items to be discussed or presented by the public is limited or discussed or, I'm sorry, is defined as citizens of the city of Trenton. This is very similar to other municipal ordinances and regulations statewide. And though it's not perfectly defined in our code nor is it in these other codes, the distinction is between a citizen and a visitor, particularly when it comes to public comment at open meetings. There are a number of municipal or municipalities that distinguish between the two will allow citizens to speak first, and if there's sufficient time thereafter, will allow visitors to speak. There's also different forums for visitors to speak. There are a number of different ways to, there are a number of options for council to consider, and I think it's something that council will continue to consider as the city grows. Because if you look at them, and I'm using very big generalizations here, sorry if I'm not speaking up, and this is a very blanket generalization, but the larger the municipality, you see more kind of restrictions and regulations on timing of these comments from the public, from the citizens, from visitors, because there is a limited amount of time for the elected officials to conduct their business. When it comes to, like, I know we've heard some comments from council tonight about signing in, it's not a chilling effect. It's not designed to be a chilling effect. It's merely designed, one, if the topics are addressed on the card, it's ways for council to be prepared to have a healthy dialogue. And two, if you see how many individuals sign in, you can plan the meeting or adjust the meeting accordingly. It also gives the chair or the mayor, in this case, the opportunity to really think about if there's additional time that will be given on the front end of audience public, because you will know how many citizens are here, or visitors, depending on however council wants to do that, are here to speak. So you afford certain people additional amount of time, you know that that's going to ultimately continue the business of council later into the evening, which is perfectly fine. It just allows for council to conduct an orderly meeting. But there is a clear distinction between citizens and visitors in terms of how that definition operates for purposes of open meetings. Yes.
So just to clarify, the way it is in our codified ordinances is citizens with the meaning of citizens of the city of Trenton.
That's yes, that is my interpretation. It does reference particularly citizens.
Of Trenton.
It does not say Trenton, though, much like.
That's assumed?
Yes, this is a kind of a rules of construction, canons of construction idea that if it's a reference to citizens within its own municipal code, it would be referencing to the citizens in which that code applies.
But is citizens defined in our code?
It's not, nor is it any other municipalities that use the same term.
So it doesn't define it as tax-paying residents or business owners? Or
Nope.
apartment dwellers or
Nope.
any other definition?
Not voting district, nothing like that.
No, sir.
I like the idea of residents having first opportunities to speak, and then,
My first thinking on that when I read it and was going by what's actually written in the code was this. If that's how it's defined in the codified ordinances, then that is, like I said before, the law that we go by. Now, that doesn't mean that it's not changeable, but I also had a thought about our work sessions. And our work sessions nor the work session agenda is defined at all. There's nothing, I think it says we shall have a work session or may have a work session, but there's nothing on the agenda about that. Now, so if the city council meeting is defined as that, then we could also entertain comments from general public during the work session.
yeah.
And that was my first thought when I read that. We really have three choices here. We could either say, okay, it's only citizens that speak. We change the codified ordinance to or the definition, or we have it just go ahead and at work session it's opened up, which will make it align with our codified ordinances. And that just be a audience of public. But those are, when I looked at it and saw the exact language, I'm like, well, there's three choices to go forward here.
When this was presented to me, my thoughts on residents of Trenton is we do conduct business for the city, but it is very clear that our decisions do affect those outside of the city.
Mm-hmm.
As you stated, they can speak at work sessions still, they can speak at roundtables. We do value their input, so I guess just the question for council is in what capacity we align, like Mr. Rourke said, do residents of Trenton move to the front of the line because we have more control over some of their issues?
Right.
Non-residents, do we try to tailor in some of their conversations? Because some of what they bring up are things that are out of our control. Even though some of the decisions we make affect them, some of the answers they want from us are answers that could come from the county or come from other areas. So maybe there's a way to streamline the issues that they bring to us so that we're not up here for 20 minutes trying to explain you need to go talk to somebody else. So there's got to be some sort of line there that we can figure out.
I don't like the idea of having different rules for the public comments in work session and council meeting. I think that just confuses the issue more.
I agree.
Well, I will say this, we didn't have public comment really until the last 6-7 months in our work sessions.
Yeah.
That is
Correct.
where we conduct business and we hear from the department heads of the city. When they come to us and they want us to give them money or approve something to be spent, that's where we hear about it, is in the work session. And a lot of the work session has been took up by public comment. Do we want to hear from the people of the township? Yes, we do. But again, like Councilman Prophet just said, a lot of our time has been took up over things that is out of our control. This is a very fine line that we're dancing right here.
Yeah.
I agree with possibly going back to where we don't have public comments at the work session and let the work session be what it was designed to be. But then I still feel like everybody has a place to be able to speak, whether they live in Trenton or not. And I believe, again, with the same as what we were talking about in number 1, that's a place where we can hone in versus shut down if they're talking about something that we really can't control. It has to be finessed from this side and understood from the other side that this is not a shutdown. It's just I understand, I hear you, the active listening that we all need to do. I hear what you're saying. I cannot do anything about that right now, but I can give you a place to go for that.
I remember I had a friend that wanted to come and talk, and she did. And we were able to get some things dissolved over in that situation. But I remember telling her, now, come at the 7:30, because 7:30 is when we start our regular council meeting, and that's when audience of public speaks. And that became the rule. And I think what he just said, which was, when we had our work session, that's when we hear the things that we hear from all of our different public works, the police department, fire department, and those kind of things. And normally it's so that we can know what they need, and that's a work session. And so having that, when we started having the open to the public in our work session, that's when I started to see the time element. It was like we didn't have a time to have executive session,
right,
or any of that. And see, executive session has normally been after work session, and then at 7:30 when we start our regular meeting, that's when everybody's here and things of that nature. So that's where I'm at with it. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, and what the audience of public during the work session was originally to do was get people that have one simple question
right
in here, and I won't say out quickly, but it gives you a chance that I have something later to do. at 7:30, I can't make it to audience of public, or I don't want to stay out that late, I have a quick question, and then I'm going to be gone from the council meeting. That's what that originally was for. If we don't want to keep it, then that's okay too. It was just something that came about that I noticed in the past. But I will ask, if we are going to go to anybody can speak during that time, we're going to have to change our codified ordinances. Because now that I know in the past that non-residents of the city have spoke at council meetings, but I've read it now and I know it exists. And I don't have a problem with us rescinding it if that's what council wants to do. I'm just making everybody aware that, I mean, it is a law, unfortunately one of the only ones that we have that say anything about how audience of public is to be dictated. So if that's the case, then we'll have to rescind that or reword it.
The spirit of my thought on residents of Trenton was under the understanding that we do have an audience of public at the work session. If we are going to do away with the audience, because we do still want to hear, so if we're going to do away with the audience of public at the work session, I believe we need to open up the comment at the council meetings to more than just residents.
I agree.
So is that where we're going?
I think it should be opened up either way.
All right.
I kind of like the idea of keeping the audience of public at the work session for the simple fact that it's a little less formal atmosphere. So people might be a little more apt to come and speak to us in a less formal atmosphere.
Also, he's a little bit.
What's he talking about?
I will say this, though, now that I think about it, is that a lot of times now with the audience of public at the work session, we have had, well, no, at first it was something that was used a lot, but here lately it seems like it's not been used.
Abused.
It's not been used as much.
It's not been used as much. In the past, yes, it was used as
being abused.
almost the audience of public was designed to be used during the council meeting.
Yeah, I don't want to overcomplicate it, but when it comes to the work sessions, we're on a very tight time crunch. We have an hour before the meeting starts. This is really complicating it, but I think you should have to sign in for a work session. I think there should be a tighter time limit because we are on a time crunch to get to the council meeting. But we open up the council meetings to everybody with the 3 to 5 minutes and everything that we've discussed in the past. If we're going to allow comment at the work session. If we're going to do away with it, what I'm saying is a moot point.
I still think we should do away with it in the work session. A lot of times what we're seeing now is we'll have the same people speaking and saying the same thing in the work session that they're saying in the council meeting.
That's true.
So I don't know if that's the feeling that it would be more on record if they're doing it in the council meeting itself versus in the work session. I don't know what the differences are in that, but I feel like if we would just consolidate all of the audience of public to the meeting, we would save time, we could do executive session, and everybody could speak.
Again, these guidelines were made because of those reasons right there you just stated, Councilman Butts.
Right.
I'm just saying.
I get that, but if we go ahead and switch it to where anybody can speak, and we're not having anyone speak in the work session, then we get the work at hand taken care of by fire and all of the leaders within the city. Then we can do what we need to do in executive session. Sometimes we've been in executive session, we've only had 5-10 minutes.
That's true.
That is not good for us or for the community itself, for us to feel rushed back there. And then we just know that there are going to be nights when we have important issues that we're here longer than other nights, but it's all going to come out even it's going to come out even, because like Mrs. Harris said before, the majority of the time we have no one sitting out there. So this is just an important time in the city of Trenton, and they deserve, everybody in Trenton and the people around here that affects in my opinion, deserves to be able to speak on it.
So let's.
Can I just state one more thing?
Oh, I was just going to go ahead and cut the one thing.
Okay. I believe we should do away with public comment during the work session, open up public comment during the council meeting to everybody with the understanding that we will reasonably use discretion if it is a non-resident and an issue that we do not have control over.
Yes. I agree.
All right.
Hone it in versus shutting it down.
Sounds good. So Stas, what we will need for the next meeting then, if that's the direction we're going to go, is we're going to need an ordinance to repeal the language under audience of public, and it should be, I think there's just one line that says audience of public, and then there's like 3 or 4 sentences under it. We could just repeal that whole area of sentences under it to make us legal. We'll do it. I would like to propose that we do it in 1 reading instead of the customary 2, so we suspend the 2 readings, and also, unless there's any objection from the public, we do it by emergency as well.
That goes into effect right away.
That way it'll take effect without the 30-day waiting period.
I have a question.
Yes.
Under emergency, doesn't that keep it from public referendum procedures in the future?
It keeps it from public referendum, yes, but it also makes it take effect immediately. So after 30 days, the way it works is if we pass it by emergency, then it takes effect on day 1 without the 30-day referendum period. Without that, it doesn't take effect for another 30 days. So there would be 2 council meetings, I do believe, 2 or 3 council meetings that would fall where members of the general public couldn't speak by our codified ordinances. So I don't, if someone thinks of something and they'd rather us not do it by emergency, then we can, but I just think it's for the betterment of all of us that we just go ahead and pass it 1 reading by emergency. That way we can go ahead and move forward. So I think that's pretty much unanimous that we don't do a
Public.
Yep, no audience of public during work session anymore, and then we will pass that, or vote on that, sorry, at the next council meeting. And then number 4, public comment is provided for the purpose of allowing council to receive input from the public. Therefore, council members shall not engage in dialogue, debate, or response to questions during the public comment period. So this is one thing that I kind of like, to tell you the truth, because if you're going to be limited on minutes, or the way it was originally thought of to be limited on minutes, and there's a back and forth where a council member starts speaking and then continues to speak, it could have been that your time was up by the time that dialogue back and forth took place. And with watching a couple other meetings, I thought it worked well, especially when there were set in stone time limits, that council doesn't speak until after the speaker is done, so they get their full time allotment. But I will, I'll throw that out. That was the thought behind that, and we'll entertain what we do next.
I like being able to answer people's questions on the spot. Good examples, the gentleman in front row, I'm sorry, I'm terrible with names, but he brought us a concern about his water. It was a simple answer. You know, we advised him that he needed to contact Butler Rural, or not Butler Rural, but Southwest Water. Yeah, that, you know, by law, we can't supply him water. It's a simple, quick 30-second answer. You know, why let it drag on?
I think as long as the question is in that spirit, but if the question is someone getting up asking how we would vote on a hypothetical issue in the future, that's inappropriate.
That's
So
very
we definitely do need to be able
Extremely
to
inappropriate.
Yeah.
answer questions.
But as it was mentioned by the young lady over there, if citizens, the residents they're talking and we don't respond at all, does it make it feel like we're not listening to them? That was brought up, you know. So it might not be good for us just to sit and stare at them and never make no comment or engage, because that could give them the impression that they ain't even listening to me. So that's something I'm kind of concerned about, you know. It ain't saying I have to engaged all the time.
Yeah.
At the end of the council meeting, the mayor goes down the table and he asks us for reports. If you need to answer a question at that point in time, you
That's
have the
when you do
right
it.
to answer a question because that is your time to speak.
Let me clarify that it wasn't at the end of the council meeting that council could speak. This was during the allotted time to speak.
Yeah.
So, for instance, if somebody would come up there, they would speak for a while, they would ask a question, they would say thank you, they would sit back down, then would be the time that council would answer the question that they gave. Not a back and forth while we're here, because one thing I noticed in municipalities that don't do that is that one question will lead to another question, which will lead to another question, and then next thing you know, the whole thought never gets out. It ends up a back and forth where council takes half the time that they're allotted, and it just goes back and forth. And keep in mind that that is at discretion as well. And if it does end up something important, or I really want an answer, or something like that at the time, or if council really feels compelled to answer, then there can be, we're going on a very loose time schedule anyway. So that's another thing to consider, that this was put in for a tight time schedule. We're kind of at a loose one, but to be honest with you, I think I'm talking in circles a bit because I'm up in the air completely on this issue.
Well,
I'm thinking about it and I'm like, there's no right answer. Every situation is going to be different.
Well, what we do is not going to make everybody happy.
Well, no, I know that. I mean, it's inherent with being people. But
I agree with the basis behind this, and I think it just comes down to basic respect, both directions. There is no reason for anyone in the public or anyone sitting up here to get defensive. We are discussing difficult topics at times, and there's this side and there's that side, and the truth is somewhere in the middle. We all know that. And sometimes we just have to agree to disagree and not get offended by what people are saying. And I think it's just a matter of being respectful for all the people here and not getting defensive.
And Nick, I want to kind of clarify something, if you don't mind. If a person is at the pulpit and they asked for someone to speak to them, does that person have the obligation to speak back to them?
To provide an immediate response to a
Yes.
question posed to council, there's no obligation to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Question?
That's the basic respect thing as well.
Yes.
If the question is one that we're comfortable and it makes sense to answer, I see no reason to answer it. But if someone's up there saying, are you a Republican or a Democrat, or how are you going to vote for this, or how are you going to vote for that, and throwing daggers, that's not respectful, and it doesn't constitute
And Marcy, that was
response.
something that I learned when I first came on council was, if I'm uncomfortable, I don't have to make a speech or say anything until I'm ready.
Well, it's not real comfortable for residents to stand behind the podium. I get that. That's kind of nervous unless you're a preacher or something. You're pretty comfortable behind the podium. But for, sometimes it is helpful to have a response. I mean, not getting a debate or nothing like that. That way at least they know they're being heard.
I think, and I'll just say this for me personally, I noticed a difference during this meeting because I was trying it out when people were doing an audience of the public today, of not thinking how I was going to respond. Your speech was one that there were a few times where I'm like, but it was a lot easier for me to hear what you were saying when I knew that I can't respond to anything that you're saying. Or that's how the rules dictate, is that I can't have an instant rebuttal for you. I have to listen to what you're saying because the rules dictate I don't speak right now. I think that's a great thing, and it'll play into the other rules of pretty much showing respect for each other and not speaking while others are speaking as well.
That's active listening. listening to
Yes,
hear
thank
what
you.
is being said versus forming a response instead of hearing what they're saying. Yeah.
And Robert's rules.
Robert's rules, yep.
Okay. We have a consensus on that? All right, well, I think that does it. We'll move on to,
Can you,
Can you tell me how that was resolved?
that was resolved as that council will speak at the end of someone speaking. So.
I just
as-
wanted that to be clarified.
Yes. To clarify, if you ask questions while you're speaking to council, they will listen to your questions and your comments. When that time ends, if there is an answer that they choose, they will answer then. But the full time is yours.
And please verify if council member feels and chooses to respond.
Yes.
Right?
You
It
can't
is always,
demand.
it's always a choice.
Thank you.
in your guidelines at the beginning, you established that people at the podium cannot address other members of the public, correct? Because if you did not mention that, I want that to be put in there based on what's happened in the past.
It is.
Council
Oh,
meeting
yep.
should not be where two public people come together and start a debate in the middle of a council meeting.
Okay, I did say members of the public or council will not attack the character of audience members. I do not believe that I did say that one member of the public can't address another member of the public. But is that something?
In a negative light.
In a negative light.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are we in agreement on that?
Yeah. And that could kind of roll into number 4, because you say public comment is provided for the purpose of allowing council to receive input from the public. Therefore, council members should not, and then we could add something in there about if you're at the podium, you're addressing council.
You're supposed to be addressing council,
Correct.
not the audience of council
Right.
during a council meeting.
And that's what number 4 kind of says, but we could spell it out a little bit more.
And that brings up another point too. We have people that come up and basically address one of our staff members rather than addressing council. You know, our staff members are here, 5 days a week. If people have questions for them, they can contact them and ask the questions rather than come to council and address them in a council meeting. Or if they feel it necessary to bring something to council, then they should be addressing it to council, and then we should follow up on it.
Instead of, during audience of public, it should be, I do agree that it should be addressed to council. If it goes to a member of the staff,
Yeah.
then it can be taken to the member of the staff.
I agree.
Yep.
All right? Any other comments? All right, we'll go to audience of council. Mrs. Montgomery?
I've got several things that's been going over in my mind. You know, I'm sitting here as a medical social worker and have done it now for 18 years. Active listening is a big thing that I write on all my notes, especially with the patients that I have that are still able to communicate with me. I take it very, very seriously, and I've learned how to do that in my family. My family has been shocked all of these years. Sharon, how in the world can you do that? It's my job. And I listen when I'm here. I do. I am a firm believer that I have a right to keep my private information or things that voting on something, that's my business. And I don't ask anyone how they vote. I never have. I vote how I feel in my heart. And so I think, again, that's respect. I go back to my 3 points and I say again to you, order, clarity, and unity. Those are the things that I came in mind to do and be a part of here tonight. And I feel like that there's been some things that have been confirmed, and I feel like that there's that unity, but here's the deal. And I've spoke to different ones of them, and I didn't know if you were still out of town, so I didn't call you. And Ray, I didn't know what you were doing either, so please don't be offended. But I want the unity in this council. I want the unity in our city. And I want everybody to feel as if that we are doing the best that we can. This has been a hard time for everybody, you know. I made the comment today, you know, we haven't talked about the Veterans Memorial. We haven't talked about the new building being built and the YMCA coming. We haven't talked about all of these wonderful things that this city stands for now.
Good point.
We have talked about one thing, and you know what? I have a vision for the future. And the future is not sitting in one area and going over something so much that I don't sleep good. And I have several reasons why. So I just want everybody to think about your other person sitting next to you. And I want you to think that you were placed here on this earth for a purpose. I know I have been. I should have died 2 years ago, but I didn't. Right, Chief Carr? Right? I should have died.
You're lucky.
No, I'm blessed.
That's right.
And so, you know, with that being said, I hope that everybody has taken what we have tried to do here as a council and as a unified people to have some solutions to some problems that seem to be sometimes a little bit bigger than any of us. But we can make it. We can make it. I'm done.
Thank you. Councilwoman Butts?
Thanks for making me follow her. I want to thank the four that voted yay on this. Number one, I think it's good that it came up.
Yeah.
Could have been a little bit different, but I thank the four for insisting that we have this special meeting so that we could refine it and give the community the option to, or the opportunity to let us know how they feel about it. I want to thank everyone who's here tonight and who spoke. It was very under control. It was very respectful. I think there was active listening on both sides, and I appreciate that interaction. That's all I have.
Thank you. Councilman Rohr.
Like Mrs. Montgomery, I'm looking forward and positive that we'll be more unified as a city and as neighbors. We are going through a lot, like everybody's been saying, and that was a good point. We got so many great things going on in Trenton, and we're not even talking about it. You know, like you said, a memorial, things like that. But I feel real good about this meeting tonight, and something was missing. Mentioned about passing notes. Me myself, I've never passed notes up here. That was kind of offensive, because in other words, we're being accused of passing notes to tell somebody what to say, or I don't know what the reason why we'd be passing notes up here in the first place. I've never passed a note up here. So when that was mentioned tonight, that kind of bothered me, because it's not true on my part. And I've never seen nobody up here pass notes to one another saying, you know, I don't know. But I'm just glad for everybody showing up tonight, and I'm really positive that everything's going to work out.
Thank you. Councilman Brough?
I just want to thank everybody that came out tonight. I think you live and learn. Mistakes, or this could have been handled better. I'm glad we got together. We were able to figure out where we need to go. These were by far not perfect, but I feel like we're trending in the right direction. I want to thank Ms. Montgomery. I've talked with her and leaned on her a lot in the last week.
It's been good.
It's not easy sitting up here, you know, especially those of us that are new. We came in at possibly the most difficult time in the history of this
sure
city.
did.
And we jumped in the deep end. And I think all of us have gotten defensive at one point or another. It's been brought up a few times on toning down the rhetoric. And I'm guilty of being one of those. So I just appreciate that that's the narrative we're going to have going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. Councilman Nichols.
I just thank everybody for being here. And one thing that was mentioned in the public comments, I don't even remember who mentioned it, but that they said that there's been some, I forget the term they used, but basically comments made about people watching online, and that's not appreciating those people. But I don't think that's the case. I mean, if you're not able to attend our meetings, I think it's great that you watch them online. And if you watch the council meeting online and you have a question about something, email one of us or call one of us. Now, if you call me, I probably won't answer, but leave me a voicemail and I'll call you back, because I don't answer numbers I don't know. But I check my email several times a day. I'm on Facebook several times a day. If people have questions, I'm always available to answer their questions. Like I've said before, they may not like my answer, but it'll be the truth. And I just think this could have been handled a lot easier. I mean, we've been here for an hour and a half this evening. We could have probably done this in 10 minutes if we'd have done it before we kicked the hornet's nest. So I just think, you know, going forward, we need to keep that in mind, that sometimes we make things a little more complicated than they need to be, and sometimes we just need to take the easier route and get things done.
Thank you. Mr. Croucher? Vice Mayor Croucher, my fault.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to thank everybody for being here tonight. As I stated in this at the very end, this can be amended by council. I knew this was not perfect, but we had to start somewhere.
Yep.
And I'm sorry, I was the adult in the room and brought it up. So if everybody's mad about this, right here I am. Be mad at me. Don't be mad at the other 6 that sit up here. Jennifer, I heard you Friday morning at State Street when you, and I agreed with you. It hit me like a ton of bricks, but I agreed with you. Very harsh, came off wrong. And again, that's why we called this council meeting. We wanted to hear from the public. We wanted to hear what you guys were saying about it, how you thought it needed to be tweaked, how it needed to be twisted back to where it should be actually now as we came together. And again, that is something else that we have not been able to do. According to sunshine laws, we cannot all come together and talk about these things. It's very hard with people working like Ken has his schedule. He runs his own business. I mean, God knows he could be in Middletown one day and out in Westchester the next, and in Preble County, which I've seen you out there.
Yeah.
But we all have cell phones. If you need my cell phone number, I'll be more than glad to give it to you.
It's on our cards.
It's on our cards. Actually, Stas has it. You can give it out, Stas. I'm not telling you you can't. We want to hear from the public. I'm not trying to stop free speech in any way. That's why we started work sessions for the public to be able to come, because they can't always make it on a first and third Thursday of the month. This was very difficult. I did not enjoy this in any way, shape, or form. With that being said, we have 5 movies coming in the park here this summer. Starting this spring. Sorry, I got to go back to myself. Everybody come out to Movies in the Park. I was trying to look up on my phone the first date of the movie and the actual movie, and the volume started going off while somebody else was talking, and I felt really bad, so I just stopped right then.
We'll go over that at our regular
But
council meeting
again, I look
next
forward to
week.
seeing everybody out at Movies in the Park. I look forward to seeing you at the roundtables. Please come out. We'd like to hear from you. Other than that, Mayor, that's all I have.
Thank you very much. I would like to thank the media for covering this. I know a lot of times the story that gets out of council meetings like this is usually the negative story, and I thank the media for coming here so that they give us a chance to publicly clear up what actually happened, because I know there was a big misunderstanding. And I would like to invite you guys to all of our events here in Trenton. We do more than just contentious council meetings. And it's we have a lot of celebrations this year to take part in.
Yes, we do.
I'd also like to thank the people that privately spoke to me about things they have noticed and they disagreed with, and telling me what shouldn't happen. So I will tell, it's been done a few times. I mentioned my father earlier, and he was the one that sat me down and said, I have to tell you what you're doing. That doesn't come off well, Ryan. And one of the things was, I have been allowing, or when I talk to somebody in the public, and a lot of you will know this, you'll bring up an issue and I'll say, just text me during the council meeting because I'll forget. But my father was the one that looked at me and says, well, Ryan, that makes it look like you're letting people skip the line and get attention during the council meeting. And they don't have to come and actually sit there with the rest of the public. And I want to publicly thank him for that, because I didn't realize, you don't realize that when you're in it. But there has been a lot, of people that I told that to that noticed the same thing. And I just want to say, tell me when you notice something like that from me, because it's very easy for me to understand that someone's texting me and I'm bringing up their concern, but it's a lot harder for me to notice in myself that I'm skipping over a lot of other people. So I'd like to thank everyone that told me that that wasn't a great idea. I think everyone on council here has done some soul searching in the last week.
Yeah.
Believe me,
Yeah.
This has not been easy for the council members up here. And to be honest with you, I don't think that I have heard nor raised my voice at council members as much as I have privately over the past week.
You didn't, me?
Not you. I can't to you.
You didn't holler at me. I don't know who you are.
But I will say this is probably the best thing to have happened to this council at this time, considering what's all going on in the city. We are more united on the rules that are going to govern not only the council meeting, but also the audience of public. And I want to thank everyone, whether you're in the crowd, if you're on Facebook, or my fellow council members up here, for having a civil discussion that we actually got a lot of work done today. So I want to, going forward, let's focus a little bit less on rhetoric and feeding into problems in general, and let's all just focus on going forward and making everything the best we possibly can.
Yeah.
So I think that's it for me. And again, I just want to thank everyone for being here. And I would like to entertain a motion that we adjourn tonight's proceedings.
So moved.
Second.
Vice Mayor Croucher and Councilwoman Montgomery. Roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Croucher?
Yay.
Ms. Montgomery?
Yay.
Mr. Prophet?
Yeah.
Mr. Nichols?
Yay.
Ms. Butts?
Yay.
Mr. Rourke?
Yay.
Mayor Perry?
Yay. And we are adjourned of this special council meeting at 8:23 p.m. Thank you, everyone, for being here, and we'll see you next Thursday.